Hello and welcome back to all my subscribers. If you're not a subscriber, what's wrong with you? Press the button. Right, this is an update on how I'm getting on with the emulator that I've decided to write. It's going really well now. I've managed to fix all of the issues that I had previously. Many of the issues were related to the parsing of the instructions and the registers which it is meant to be using. But that all works now, and I've managed to set up a large number of test cases. Which are these bin files. So if I show you one of these, it's basically I write the machine code out in binary, and then I have a program that converts that into an actual binary file. So it's really straightforward to create these. I just need to do the machine code. I'm at the point now where it's quicker for me to write the machine code in a text file myself than it is to actually use the assembler that I wrote. So, but this has allowed me to test all of the functionality which I've added recently. So in the emulator, I've added all of the functions for load data, load immediate, store data, add, subtract, jump, etc. All of them are now done. I spent a significant amount of time on add and subtract because this is meant to be an 8-bit computer, and of course it's actually running on a 64-bit host. And so when I was doing the addition of 254 plus 255, it quite happily put that into the register with no problem. So I did have to modify the add and subtract functions. Let me just find those. So that it would set the carry flag, but also the overflow flag when the result was large. And wouldn't fit in a normal 8-bit register. So there was a lot of work there, a lot of testing that had to happen to make sure that all of that works. There's been a significant amount of change to the command line interface. I'm actually working on version 6 now, not the 5 that you're seeing in the text file, but I haven't made any changes yet, so it's basically the same. I'm just moving it over because I will shortly be making some massive changes to it. But now it basically can start the emulator. When it says start, I've modified the load command so that I can either automatically start the thing running or not. So auto run, I can enable or disable it. So if auto run is enabled, then it basically, as soon as I load the program, off it goes. So that's down in here. And so if it is disabled and I want to run it, then I can just do start or run, and it will start the program up. So this lets me in future load multiple programs. What I actually want to do is eventually I will do run and then program name, so that I could load 2 different programs into memory and then just or run them from the memory space. So if it's loaded in so I might be able to do load this program versus one at a different memory location. But that's for the future. But at the moment, it's basically I can toggle logging on and off. I can do the memory addressing, because what I was finding before was I could just do a single memory address, which was okay but not great. Whereas now I can I can look at a range of memory addresses and it'll just show them all. It's obviously 0 at the moment. So that's useful. And then I can see the registers. But actually I put the registers and the flags into the logging. So generally I don't tend to use this while I'm in the program. I just look at the logs to see what registers were changed when I ran through things. It still does load, and it still does all the other stuff shut down. If I do the one we looked at, then it's loading these into the correct memory, and I can't remember whether I had it turned on or off. Okay, it was on, so it ran. So we should now be able to see the log of what ran. So when I run it, I can see, I'm probably not going to be able to get to the top. Oh yeah, okay. Looks at the first instruction. It tells me the opcode. It tells me the operands. I can see what it's going to execute. And basically this opcode is for immediate load, and so it loaded 32 into R0. Here's another immediate load. It's basically the same again. So I can look at each of these in turn and see what's happened, and see, so for example, we're inside an add instruction, so it's doubled it, I think. I don't know. Anyway, but this is very helpful for the debugging process, and now I can actually see what is happening and what is going on in the registers. I can log things. That's working as it is, but there are lots of things I want to change. So before I move on to what the future holds, let me just say, if you could please like and subscribe and share these videos, it would be really, really helpful for me. And if you want to support the channel, have a look at my books on Amazon or Kobo or Apple Books or wherever. You can just search for my name and find my books, or you can go to xgipublishing.com and I have a list of books there. So let me just move on now. The thing that I want to change, the primary thing that I want to change next is, although I do load the binary file, and I showed you that hex dump, well, you can't see it, but so if I show you the hex dump, you can see that the memory address is here, but I've also written myself a version 2 of my assembler, and if I've done some testing, you can see it's a bit more worthwhile. But one of the things that I'm trying to do in this emulator is implement the .org so I want the origin to be different, but I haven't really tested this. I don't know if it'll work, but we'll just give it a try now and see. No. Right, so that'll have to be fixed. But I do want to make it so that I can load the binary file and it will not just stick it in the first available memory address, but take the memory address from the file. And so I need to change my assembler to recognize .org directives and update memory addresses and all that. I want to break this big, long, monolithic thing. I mean, that I'm scrolling. This is pages and pages of stuff. Let's see. Just go to the end and see how many lines it is. Yeah, we're at 807 lines, so that's just not practical. So I'm going to split this up so that I've got the main script and the emulator and the command line utility, all this other stuff, and then just break this up to make it easier to get through. And I want to make the command line interface act like an operating system, because although I can write the assembly code, I can't actually do anything other than look at the registers. So what I want to do is to be able to provide some of the C library functionality you get with, you know, for example, the GCC assembler, where you can do printf functionality or fgets or that sort of thing. I can do that via the command line interface, I think, and so that's one of the next steps. And then I'd like to do in serial interface or perhaps a I2C interface, but that is questionable. That might not happen ever. But if I can get down to here, then I can actually write programs, load them, and have the output come on to the command line interface for the emulator, and I can see what's happening. So that is the next step. They're going to take me a while to do. I will start to upload some of this stuff into my GitHub page. I haven't put anything into GitHub at the moment. I'm just sort of messing about with it. But when I do, I will put a link in the video description and let you see it and play about with it yourself. Okay. That's it. Hopefully you'll find this sort of thing interesting. If you do, again, like, subscribe, and share it out amongst people that may also be interested in this sort of thing. And I will see you next time.